Hey folks, I'm Rob.
And I'm Nathan.
And, you know, the Autoplex invited us to tour several garages to see the collections and meet the owners, allowing us to create a virtual car show for you.
Every month, the Autoplex gives back to a different charity, and this month's charity recipient is Special Olympics of Minnesota.
Through Special Olympics, athletic, health, and leadership programs, people with intellectual disabilities transform themselves, their communities, and the world.
With your support, Special Olympics can transform lives through the joy of sport each and every day.
Every day they empower athletes to shatter stereotypes and exceed their personal best on the playing field and in life.
But for every inspiring Special Olympics athlete in Minnesota, there are 21 more people waiting for their chance, and so many more around the world.
So, make a difference in Minnesota. Click on the charity link in our description down below.
Also, give us a like and click on the subscribe button down below and ring that bell notification.
That's right. So, what do you say, Nate?
Let's go for a ride. Hi folks, I'm Nathan with Two Guys in a Ride, and today we're out at the Chanhassen Autoplex, and we are at another beautiful, awesome garage that we want to share with you, and we're here with Wes today. Wes, thanks for having us and showing us this garage.
Glad to have you here.
All right, so I don't know exactly what dimensions, but this is two garages together.
Correct. This would have been two separate garages when the original owner purchased them. He purchased them as a pair.
Okay.
Just so you can open it up, you have a lot more space. And obviously he kind of had a vision here. He basically created what is a kind of a warehouse alley. This is the look he was going for.
Okay.
Some of the materials here were actually reclaimed from some of the warehouse district in Minneapolis when they tore some of those down.
That is just neat. And you can kind of see in the pictures behind the windows are actually of Minneapolis buildings.
Yeah.
Which I think is really cool. And then you've got some other factory elements, you know, industrial area with a tin roof up there. You got a tin storage closet on that side. And then on this side, you got the big old wooden sliding door. That's for, that holds your in-floor heat system.
Correct. Yeah, just to kind of clean it up a little bit. You know, you got to have some place to throw the mop and bucket and that kind of stuff.
But it's nice that they're decorated in a theme, and that's just kind of fun. When I look at this, I just think that's just such a nice theme. You do not have a mezzanine.
No.
In this particular garage. You really want the extra floor space. So, what you see back there is actually part of the building's fire suppression unit.
Correct.
Right, so that's housed behind that. So it wasn't like you could put a bathroom or in there.
No, yeah, that was for the rest of the building, and so they had to do kind of a bump out there. And so they just kind of made that like the little Frank's Cafe thing that.
Right, and I love that, and I love the fact that they put the windows in. I don't know if it makes it seem bigger, but it certainly lends a certain air, a feel for the garage. You do have a sitting area.
Yep.
We'll walk over there and take a look. You have a refrigerator and a microwave, so you have all the basics that you need.
You got a sink, yeah. I mean, for what the purpose here is. I mean, usually we're working on cars, those kind of things. But you got to have a break room kind of, so.
Right, and that's all you really need, and so you have that, right? Like you said, plus the sink back there, and then you have a television up there. This is such a nice view.
Yeah.
Straight out the back, this wild area back here is just absolutely gorgeous. I want to ask you about this picture right here.
Yep.
So, was this here with the garage too when you bought it?
With the garage.
Really?
We've some discussion's been going on. The thought process being is we one of the thoughts we have is replacing it with like you'd be looking inside the Shelby factory or something a little more in tune with muscle cars, which is what the theme is here.
Speaking of muscle cars, this is a working garage.
It is.
So we have a full lift, a 4-post lift. And I do like the mobile window service tiles. I love that. But the cars are actually worked on here.
Yep. Well, everything here gets stripped. It's, you know, we're not into flower pots, that kind of thing. So we like to drive stuff, and of course when you drive stuff, you break stuff.
Right.
Things wear out, but I think overall for the car, for the most part, it's much better to drive them than it is to leave them sit.
Absolutely. They need to be driven. So, and sadly, you know, that's part of your job, is, you know, drive these cars. Kind of sucks to be you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about the cars. So, I could start anywhere. Let's just start at the right. You got it. You've got a beautiful GT500. Tell us about this car.
All right, so this car is the original Texas car. It's wearing all its original sheet metal, its numbers matching. It's a really nicely done piece. When we look at cars, we're looking for things that aren't necessarily number one. They might have a few little flaws in them, but we know that we're going to drive them.
Yep.
So we like to find things that you can throw them in a show, and they might appear initially like they're number one, but you're going to have to hunt for some
right.
things to pick it apart. But it's much easier to keep that up than it is, you know, a true number one car, which in my book there's very, very few of.
Right.
You really can't drive them and keep them nice. So we like to keep it in a manageable spectrum.
Okay. You know, it's interesting to look, when you look at this, just the engine bays and the design, how much room there is between the front grille and the radiator.
Oh, yeah.
And where modern cars, you know, they're fitting everything into a much smaller space. Look at the size of that hood.
Yeah.
I mean, just the length of it.
Yep.
And the fact that it sticks out about 6 inches past the grille, which is about a foot past the motor.
Right. Yeah, that was one of the things, you know, in '69 and the leftovers that became '70s. This was probably the longest addition they did to the hood, and a lot of it was NASCAR inspired for Air, which is what the hood was, kind of a NASCAR hood. It was actually probably one of the best functioning hoods Ford made.
Okay.
Over the years.
It's just, I love that. Is that an original color?
That's the original color, and that's actually, it's a pretty rare color.
Yeah, but it's beautiful. All right, let's move on from one Shelby to another. Tell us about this one.
67, it was purchased from legendary Motorcar up in Ontario, Canada, Peter Kloot. Yeah. Anybody that knows that company knows that he's got a pretty good eye for Shelby.
Yep.
That's where this car came from. A lot of originality with this car. It does have a fairly low mileage reading on the odometer, which we believe is probably pretty close to accurate based on paperwork that was found from previous sales on the internet throughout the years, showing very little increase in that, and the fact that it was kind of set up for drag racing, so we know those miles came probably at a quarter mile at a time.
Quarter mile increments, right. Oh, that is just, I love both cars. They're just beautiful examples of Shelbys. All right, so leaving the Shelbys behind a little bit, talk to us about this one.
This is a rare bird. This Cougar was a California car. It's wearing its original sheet metal also.
Wow.
The 428 Cobra Jets automatic is very rare in the eliminators. There's actually less of these made than the Boss 302 eliminators.
Okay.
So that gives you a little bit idea to the rarity of the car.
Right.
And I think, if memory serves me correct, there's only a couple hundred of these 428 Cobra Jet automatics, and especially with the Ram Air. That's a very rare option on this car. It's documented well.
Okay.
And it's actually a very reliable car to drive. Surprisingly,
really,
you think with these big motors and stuff like that. That they're not very smooth, but this car is just, it's one of the favorites to go out for rides. So.
Oh wow! All right, so we'll move over down here to the GTO.
Another California car, original sheet metal, original matching numbers, Ram Air 3 car. This car was sympathetically restored. It's had a paint job.
Okay.
The interior, the trunk, the undercarriage, A lot of the rest of the car is been pretty much left the way it was, with just some minor touch-ups.
It's rare to find one without, you know, some significant body damage. And
well, yeah, and I mean this car. I mean, you can see some of the documentation there. Yeah, the nose cones on these cars.
Yep.
To have one that's not all cracked.
Right.
It's really hard to find. Has its original California black plate. Documentation is we got a very thick book on this car.
I imagine for all the cars here, you have about as much documentation as you can find.
Yeah, I mean, there's some are better than others, but most of them most of the cars are all very well documented.
Stepping over here to, this must be a Trans Am.
This is not only a Trans Am, but this is a Super Duty, which very rare. 731 produced with the automatic, as you can see. These cars were very rare for a lot of reasons. Being 1974, Pontiac slipped out what is truly a race motor in their cars.
Okay.
And these cars were, I mean, this thing's an animal. And if you look through the owner's manual on the car, it'll tell you this motor will leak oil. It was
really?
It was not designed to go back and forth to the country club and all that kind of, I mean, it'll do it. But the reality is this was a race motor stuck into a car, kind of a last hurrah as they shoved them out the door. This is a correct car, and by that it's no longer numbers matching, but it is the correct Y8 code engine, which means it was an automatic Super Duty motor. Which, when you think about 731 cars, you know, as things got wrecked and things happened, which is not uncommon, because you buy a car like this, you weren't buying it to
do a daily driver. You're going to race, right?
So to find the correct motor to put back into this car to make it essentially, you know, as good as it was originally, that's no easy undertaking.
No.
And it's a very nice car. This car came out of Georgia.
Wow. I love the Firebird emblem with the colored in, you know, the red and the black. That is just really neat. Now the hood. Screaming Chicken.
Yep, the Screaming Chicken.
All right, beautiful.
That changed a little bit over the years, you know, from 1970 all the way through. A few little changes, but basic theme is there no matter which year the car was. So
that's just a beautiful interior. Now, over here on the left, we have a Stingray. So tell us about this.
So 1974, which is what this car is, was the last year for the old-fashioned big block. So this is a 454 4-speed Corvette. It was purchased through auction from original owner with, well, right now it's just under 32,000 original miles.
Wow.
So very low mileage car, also very fun to drive. But
I bet.
Unlike the Trans Am, you know, this was a little bit more of a smog motor. Still has a lot of torque, but you can tell the difference between the two cars.
Okay.
Like I said, very fun to drive. But just from a historical standpoint, the car itself was, you know, this was the end of big motors in smaller cars till today, and now things have rebounded. But
and this is, you know, it just goes along with the theme. We were talking a little bit earlier, but, you know, the goal sort of is all big block motors, but from every manufacturer.
Correct.
You know, and we have quite a few of those represented here.
And you can see there's a few that are missing, and that's just an excuse to keep shopping.
Keep shopping. There you go. Wow. This is, I love the lines. You know, even the door handles, you know, push down and then the pull. That's just a neat concept. Obviously, this is behind us. You know, you'll see up here is a working area. You know, you've got your tools and stuff, and you do farm some work out, but a lot of the stuff you do here.
Occasionally, yeah. Like I said, all these cars get driven.
Yep.
So for some unknown reason, they must talk together. They all decide to brake usually at the same time. So after a while, the list gets too long and you realize you're not making enough headway. Sometimes we have some friends that will farm something out to and try a little tit for tat and those kind of things to keep things going. But for the most part, we take care of our stuff right here.
So out of all the things in the garage, you know, just coming out here, working on the cars in this beautiful environment, driving the cars, what's one of your favorite things about this?
You know, I guess, I mean, it just kind of all takes you back I mean, I grew up in that era, so to me, driving these cars reminds me of, you know, high school and college and, you know, driving these cars back then.
Yeah.
You know, so all your memories and things.
Only these are a lot nicer than the ones you drove in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's no comparison between what I was driving back in high school to what these are. But, you know, you're kind of reliving that. It's like, I love working on old cars.
Okay.
The newer stuff, yeah, you can keep that stuff. It's just one nightmare after another as far as I'm concerned. But, yeah, so there's history. And, you know, I view cars as art. To me, these represent an era in history.
Yes.
You know, the style, the looks, all that kind of stuff, the colors, they all are part of, you know, it's like looking at any other thing, fashion,
Yep.
furniture, any of that kind of stuff. So to me, you know, rather, you know, these are artwork.
They are.
They were all designed by people. And whether you go back all the way to the 50s to, you know, Virgil Exner designs or those kind of things, you just look and it reflects a lot of what was going on at the time.
Yeah.
So to me, it's just, you know, it's a great place to spend time.
Absolutely. Well, Wes, thank you so much for taking your time today to share this beautiful garage and all these awesome big block motor cars with us.
Great. It's a pleasure to have you guys here.